People who work at a Subway/sandwich place. What is the strangest order you've ever had from a customer? I worked in a pizza place, and at one point we had a man walk in and order a personal cheese pizza. Then he specified that he wanted no sauce. Then added that he wanted no cheese. Then decided he'd like to add uncooked cherry tomatoes as a topping. We ended up cooking a slab of dough and throwing some cherry tomatoes on top. He then proceeded to use the pizza crust as a plate for his tomatoes. Then threw the crust away after finishing his tomatoes. We had a salad bar with the exact same tomatoes as well. Back in high school, I worked at the local Subway. Every night, 30 minutes to an hour before close, this large African American man built like an NFL linebacker would come in. And no matter how many or what kinds, would clean out whatever was left of our cookies for the night. 2 oatmeal raisins, a dozen chocolate chip, a smattering of everything. Didn't matter. He'd purchase every single cookie left and leave. We nicknamed him Cookie Monster. Damn, it probably would have been cheaper for him to learn how to bake or just buy them at the store. My town had a lot of foreign exchange students from South Korea, and they would always order the meatball subs with scoops of seafood sensation, which was just mayo and imitation crab. Then have it toasted. It smelled horrible. Also had a guy that could barely talk, he was so high, wanted every sauce on his chicken bacon ranch. It was more soup by the end. Then he gets to the register and he remembers he doesn't have any money and walks away. My manager actually asked anyone if they wanted it. A regular I had years ago would get the seafood, add tuna, add sweet onion sauce, toasted. Smelled like death. Worked the night shift for Subway during college. Had a regular come in at 3 a.m. usually that would request that we toast the speep out of his sandwich. I'm talking the whole thing was basically charcoal. First time he came in while I was on shift, I pulled his sandwich out of the toaster and he told me to put it back again. And again. I thought he was a drunk guy beeping with me. Apparently he really liked the taste of burnt everything. Grossed me out. But as long as he paid, I didn't really care. Damn. This reminds me of an asshole that would always order 2-foot-long flatbread sandwiches right before we officially closed. He demanded that we toast each sandwich separately for 8 minutes with all of the veggies on it. If someone tried to toast them together, he refused to accept it and insisted we start over. There was never a manager for the closing shift. So this asshole just liked to bully whoever was working. Oh. And then extra regular mayo and sriracha. I think he wanted to know what a dumpster fire tasted like. This one guy used to come into my sub shop at least twice a week. Always ordered a steak and cheese with extra ketchup. Except you couldn't put enough ketchup on it. We could use over half a bottle and he would still come back and ask for the bottle because packets took too much time. Okay, but also, packets do often take too much time. I used to work at McDonald's. We had a regular customer who wanted a plain quarter pounder. No bun. Extra pickles. Basically, just a 1/4 pounds beef patty with like a half cup of pickle slices on top of it. Dude was on that keto status. I worked at a Burger King my junior year of high school, not a sandwich shop. But play along. I was on specialty board chicken and fish mainly. This order came through for an original chicken with HHHH mayo. H in the training stood for heavy or extra. I asked my manager if it was a typo and they said no, this guy comes in once a week for that sandwich. I swear. By the time my manager said the sandwich was proper, the mayo was thicker than the chicken patty itself. I felt like I needed to bathe afterwards. Not an order, but my boyfriend had a customer come in with a Kermit the Frog puppet. The customer spoke through the puppet. Had my boyfriend hand the change to the puppet. And also slide the sandwich to the puppet. I guess whatever you can do to cope with the world. We had frozen egg discs that we were supposed to heat in the oven. I say egg. But really it was more of a frozen circle of egg whites with a yellow piece in the middle that may or may not be missing depending on luck of the draw. This one guy would come in every shift I had and order just the egg circle. But didn't want us to heat it up. We handed him hard. Frozen. Disgusting looking. Discs that sounded like rocks when banged against the counter. Covered in ice flakes. He barely spoke English. So the first time he showed up we were very confused to say the least. But once we understood, he was very happy with his egg hockey pucks. This is definitely the most unique one I've read so far. What a weird eating habit. What can I get for you? I'll get a 6-inch honey wheat. Just condiments. Just condiments. Just condiments. All of them. If you don't mind. That day ruled. Used to have a guy come in regularly to order a foot long on white. Double mayo. Salt, pepper. He then sat in the lobby and ate the whole thing. Was getting breakfast at this place called the Great Canadian Bagel Company. The girl ahead of us gets a breakfast sandwich with extra mayo and then says, like a serious amount of mayo. More than you think is comfortable. The guy does a solid 4 servings and she shakes her head in disgust/shame and is like, no. I'm actually messed up. I need more mayo. Took everything in me not to laugh as it happened. At least she knew she had a problem. I worked at Subway many years ago. There was a couple that would come in semi-regularly and she wanted just a double helping of American cheese on white bread. No veggies. No condiments. Just cheese. I never charged her for the extra cheese since I figured the veggies she wasn't getting offset it. Eventually she started asking for more and more cheese until it was easily 10x what came on it. She must have been bummed when I quit. That cheese sandwich probably would have cost about 10 if someone who gave a speep rang it up. I worked at a Subway a long time ago and a guy would order 2 full bags of lettuce on his sandwich every day. Imagine 2 pounds of lettuce on some bread. He would order often enough that I knew to go in the back and grab 2 full bags just for him. I worked at a Subway next to the shoddiest motel in town and hookers would come in all the time. For the most part they were fine. But one lady would come in and get the cold cut combo and ask for oil on it. I always loved watching new employees make her food because of the look of amusement. Turning to confusion. Turning to horror as she demanded more oil. Empty the bottle on the sandwich and she'd get all huffy and rudely ask you to refill it and keep going. By the time you were done the bread was so saturated with oil that it just mushed apart if you tried to touch it. You had to use the paper to try and topple the oily mess into a vaguely sub-shaped blob and roll it up fast before it leaked everywhere. I always wished she'd stay in the lobby to eat it just once. So I could be sure she really intended to use it as food. But she always shuffled back to the motel to have her oily feast. I worked at a Subway for a couple months after high school. While working there I had a very polite customer. Who was pregnant at the time. Come in every other week or so and order the same foot-long ham sandwich. What made this sandwich so strange was that she would ask for a ton of black olives. Like multiple. Whole handfuls of black olives. So much. That it was hard to close up and wrap the sandwich without some olives spilling out. Some of my co-workers would only give her so much before they refused to add more. There were no rules. To my knowledge. Stating a limit on the amount of black olives a customer could request. So I always obliged. Knowing this, she would refuse help from my co-workers and wait for me to make her foot-long black olive sandwich. She would always comment that it was something she started ordering after becoming pregnant and it was the baby that wanted the olives. Some time had passed where I didn't see her come in anymore. Until one day, I see her walk in with a stroller and her brand new baby daughter. She brought her in so I could meet the olive baby. She thanked me for all the times I made her olive sandwich just the way she liked it and then proceeded to order a ham sandwich. Only this time, she asked for just a few olives. I quit a short time after, but I still think about that sandwich and the olive baby from time to time. If she didn't name that baby Olive,